Go beyond market headlines to understand the reasons for the day's movers and shakers. And get your portfolio ready for tomorrow. Beaming live from the CNBC-TV18 Motilal Oswal studio.
US has signed an extension now that's come in for the tariffs. So that is what is keeping these markets a bit choked up in trade.
He wasn't going to mess with me. This war would have never happened.
The Nifty and the Nifty Bank had a decent move, and we've managed to close above the 40-hourly exponential moving average. It's absolutely flat for now. 0.14% lower on the Nifty.
That the tariffs will settle down at 15 to 20 or 25 or 50, the sensitivities vary.
I have always been thinking that if our market share goes up there, it will not be a cannibalization of the other exchange.
It is a big leadership shake-up at Suzlon Energy, where Chief Financial Officer Himanshu Modi is all set to step down.
The high today was 24,700, but now we are 120 points from the highs of the day as well.
We will spend money on what we call a PIP, which stands for Property Improvement Plan.
The year-ago number is 3.6, which is also below the mandated number of the MPC.
We came off sharply from the highs, from those levels of 24,700, and we've now been consolidating at the 24,550 mark.
Okay, well, consequential day yesterday, but today not so consequential. About 30 points lower on the Nifty is what you have with an hour to go. You saw the run-through as far as the day is concerned. Not very much by way of excitement on the indices at all. Stocks, though, is a different matter. We are coming to you from the CNBC-TV18 Motilal Oswal studios. I'm Prashant. With me, my colleagues Surabhi and Rima here in the studios. And Nigel is joining us from the newsroom floor. Guys, good afternoon.
Hi, afternoon. A quiet consolidation session and no follow-through after yesterday's big buying. I think sectorally it's autos and IT where you are seeing some green, while banks continue to struggle. The Nifty Bank now down 400 points.
It's been struggling since the morning, actually, the Nifty Bank. That hasn't changed. And we've had a very quiet session. The good thing is, at least we're not falling again. But, of course, some of the other regional markets, Japan, mainland China, Hong Kong, and even Australia, all other Asian markets have done better than us. So it's once again kind of a little feeling of being left out, so to speak. Nigel.
Well, that's right. Just looking at the Hindalco's numbers, actually, and Novelis was a bit of a disappointment. But, Novelis had guided that quarter, the past quarter, that's quarter one, was a bottoming out of the EBITDA. And they say that things will improve from here on because of their cost-conserving measures. And also today was a relatively better day for metals. So we saw Hindalco recover 2.5% from the day's low. And now there are two important numbers that we look at in terms of Hindalco. One is the aluminium business. We have the EBITDA that's coming at around 4,300 crores. That's better than the 4,000 crores that the street was estimating. And the second number is the copper business. It's coming at around 670 crores. The EBITDA number, the street was at around 600 crores. So the India numbers, yet again, I think for the last many quarters we've been talking about this, but the India business continues to beat, while the Novelis business, which was normally the bread and butter business, it's a converter business that's protected from LME price moves, that's been disappointing a little bit. So that explains why Hindalco has recovered from the low point of the day, because the India business, both the pieces, look quite good.
No, absolutely. And those numbers are coming in, and as we always do, we'll look at these numbers segment by segment. Nigel will do that a little later. For now, though, it is, a flattish to slightly sideways kind of market action overall speaking. Let me just quickly bring you up to date with what's lined up here in the next 1 hour or so of trade. So markets, of course, slumping to the day's low. Inflation prints, by the way, later tonight out of the US and before that out of India as well. Will get you an expectation as far as both go. Remember, the last US data was pretty consequential, right? There was the jobs number that Friday evening, and then, of course, that Monday was a big one. Shares of Suzlon are in focus, and more important, the shares of Samman Capital, actually, is the one to watch out for. Suzlon's long-serving CFO, Himanshu Modi, who led the turnaround of the business, is joining Samman Capital. That's an exclusive source-based information. We'll go to that story in a bit. We'll have Astral, which is, of course, down sharply. We'll talk about this after, of course, the quarterly numbers. There's some downgrades, etc., which are coming through as well. Alchem Laboratories last I checked was up over 5%, and strong first quarter. So actually there's Marksons on the other side as far as Pharma is concerned, 11% cut, and Ekta will be talking about those. Praj, of course, we've been addressing from the morning. Profits have plummeted some 90%. What's gone wrong with those numbers? Vamakshi will help us with that as well. Let's just quickly, take a quick look at what is happening as far as the overall screen is concerned, and then we can, bring in, I think Mitesh who's with us. Actually, I think Mitesh is with us. Mitesh, just a quick word on how the trade so far, and whether there is any indication of what we've seen over the last few hours of trade, or where we are headed near term.
Yeah. So, Prashant, I think, I've been maintaining that 24,750, 800 will be supply zone. We got a high of around 24,703. So I think, getting close to those levels, you will see supply emerge. And the only positive sign is that we have some oversold readings on the 2-hourly charts, 3-hourly charts. So I think, that's where you have a chance of a bounce back. But for a sign of a reversal, I think we are still some time away. We need to do some good base building, see some kind of a reversal pattern on the chart, or some crossovers on the indicator and moving averages, which is not happening as yet. So for the timing, assuming that's just 24,350 holds, we could be possibly finding some kind of a consolidation between 24,350, 750 zones, and therefore, range trading would be a good approach here. On the stock side, Coal India is a buy for me, and so is DMart. So Coal India is a buy with a stop at about 381 for a target from 395. And DMart or Avenue Supermarts, that's a buy as well. Keep a stop just below levels of 4,200, look for targets of 4,340.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Hindustan Aeronautics numbers just flashed about some time back. On the bottom line, it appears to be a beat compared to CNBC-TV18 poll, 1,377 crore in terms of a net profit. The poll was for 1,218, so a beat on the bottom line, even though the profits have fallen 4%. EBITDA margins have come in at 26.7%. Again, ahead of the CNBC-TV18 poll, we thought margins would be flat on a year-on-year basis. Instead, the margins have expanded by nearly 400 basis points, and that stock is moving up. It was under pressure in the morning, and now it's flattened out. You can see that reaction coming through on Hindustan Aeronautics. And PN Gadgil is the other one reacting to numbers. I think the bottom line here has doubled, 96% increase in the profitability. The stock is now up close to about 7%. But let's get you an exclusive. Sources are saying that there may be a top management change at Suzlon. Rachna is here with the details.
Right, it is a big shake-up at Suzlon Energy, as we learned from our sources that Chief Financial Officer Himanshu Modi is stepping down from his position at Suzlon Energy. What we're also learning from our sources is that he's likely to take up a leadership position at Sammaan Capital. Now, speaking of Himanshu Modi, he's a man credited for the turnaround that Suzlon Energy has seen. He joined the company in 2021, and since then, there's been a complete financial turnaround. This includes cutting down debts to zero, boosting profitability, and even increasing the order book significantly. Now, Sammaan Capital, formerly known as Indiabulls Housing Finance, is an NBFC with a focus on housing financing, with assets under management of about 66,000 crores. So this move is particularly interesting because Mr. Himanshu Modi will be changing sectors. He'll be coming from renewable to financial services, but also for Sammaan Capital, who will be onboarding a man like Himanshu Modi, known for turning companies around. So we will be keeping an eye out for that.
Okay, all right. Thanks a lot for that, Rachna. Well, let's hop across to Dharmesh Kant, who joins us on the show. Hi, Dharmesh. Good to see you. When Suzlon a little bit under the weather because Mr. Himanshu is going to be moving. But Sammaan Capital, plenty of buzz in it. The stock has been quite volatile. I recall it went up to more than 150 odd. Then it pulled back to a great deal. What's your view on both these two names, if you have any view? What kind of a change does it bring to Suzlon? And will it be some kind of a flip to Sammaan Capital as well?
Yeah, good afternoon, Nigel. Thanks for having me on the show. I mean, it's very difficult to say because the domain expertise of Mr. Modi is quite different from what Sammaan Capital does. And both the companies were in quite trouble way back. Suzlon was into huge trouble, but it has climbed back. And I mean, giving that precedence that Mr. Modi turns around Sammaan Capital as well is difficult to say, because going by the financials of Sammaan Capital, to my mind, it would be very difficult and tall order task for that company to come up, though the projects which they have financed in and around, new airport at Mumbai. So at Navi Mumbai, that may still work out in favor, but a long time has passed, and to my mind, I mean, we have given a miss to it completely. We are not recommending, any buy or neutral rating on Saman Capital.
Dharmesh, in 2 days, Yatra is up 35%, 38%. Is it a part of your portfolio or a stock that you're recommending?
We did have a track on Yatra, but I mean, it's more of a one-off reaction to the earnings which they have reported. And but again, the drift and the trajectory going forward has to be looked into. So to us, it was more of a 1 quarter, 2 quarter kind of a scenario rather than a consistent compounder going ahead forward. So it's more of a trading play, and as an investment buy, we are not into this space at all.
So not into the entire space, is it? Dharmesh, I'm just looking at some of the other stocks. Easy Trip Planners, for instance, up 4.5%. Travel Food Services, it's a different business, but important because a lot of their business comes from airport travel as well. They came out with numbers. That stock's been up as well, by the way. Travel Food Services, almost 6-7% as well. So you're giving a miss only to Yatra or to all of these stocks?
Yeah, Gautam, so we are giving to the entire space, we are giving a miss because it's highly competitive space. And going forward, the margins will definitely come down because of the competition which is there. And all these, I mean, Yatra is a slightly different model than the other online model portals which are there on the space. So to our mind, it's more to do with, I mean, if you have to cater to the travel and tourism industry, hotels are a better space to be in. Most of the numbers which came were in line in that type of expansion we are seeing, and the footfalls and the average room rate, how they are rising. So Indian hotels to us looks pretty attractive. So we are playing the straightforward, I mean, hotel segment, hospitality segment through the hotels directly rather than, all these online platforms.
Okay. All right, Dharmesh, got that. Let's talk about some stocks that are in the news today, and they're seeing big moves as well. And Astral is the other one. Stock has been down 6-7% since the morning. The numbers have clearly disappointed, but let's go across to Ria to really understand the details. Ria, what has gone so wrong with the Astral's numbers this time?
Well, yes, it would be very weak set coming in for Astral. As you said, revenue was lower just about 1.5%, but the EBITDA and net profit were down 14% and 34% respectively on a year-on-year basis. Even the margins have declined by around 191 basis points for the company. Taking a look at the segments as well, for the plumbing business as well as for the paints and adhesives business for the company, for both of these segments, margins have contracted quite a bit, and the volume for the plumbing business has been largely stable at around 56,000 metric tons in this quarter. Now, the company has said that the overall demand scenario has been weak in the polymer industry in Q1, and that the price volatility that we've seen in the PVC resin prices over the last few months has resulted in inventory losses for the company, and it has also affected the realizations for them. But going forward, they've said that PVC prices have been seen settling down since the beginning of the second quarter of FY26, and that market conditions are also seeing some improvement, so the outlook remains positive for the company. Apart from this, they've also approved a proposal for an acquisition of 80% stake in a company called Nexlon Chem, and the rationale for this investment is to manufacture CPVC resin, which is the key raw material for the company, and going forward this will lead to a substantial margin improvement for them once the operations start from the second quarter of FY27.
Thank you very much for that. Most of the brokerages have a hold call on the stock, and the target price broadly ranges around that 1,500. But as she points out, maybe things will improve from here on. Dharmesh, is the worst behind Astral? Q1 was a tough quarter, margin contraction. But from here on, is there value?
No, Rima, I think a couple of more quarters are there in the pipeline, which will be tough for all the CBPC pipes manufacturers, basically into the plumbing sector. Because we were talking to other competitors as well in the segment, the view was same. I mean, none of them sounded very comfortable on the deal pipeline, on the order pipeline kind of trajectory out there. So though the margin compression may still, stabilize in Q2 and going forward into Q3, but the volume pickup seems unlikely. But having said that, I mean, if you are playing a ductile pipe or alloy pipe kind of a segment, that's a much better play. Westman Corp came out with a very solid set of numbers, and there the robust, demand trajectory is being seen. So I think LI pipes and ductile iron pipes are a better segment for water, supply chain management rather than going into right now into, CBPC kind of a pipes, the companies which are catering to them.
By the way, while we're talking about some earnings disappointments today, and Astral is one, Praj is the other, the positive side is Alchem. Alchem has come out with actually really good numbers. We'll see if we can get Ekta in the next couple of minutes as well on this. But yeah, revenue growth of about 11%. EBITDA has moved higher by almost 30% year on year.
Yeah.
And the margin's looking good as well. Margin, in fact, is up to 23.5% as of Q1. I think Nigel's coming in on this. Nigel?
Yeah, just one more thing I wanted to spot out is on the BSE Jayaswal Neco, since we have been covering this, with regard to the big debt in the books and the possible refinancings that they could do, which could be a big trigger for the stock. They put out on the BSE that they're looking at possible early redemption of the debentures. Remember, the total debt was in the vicinity of around 2,500 to 3,000 crores. They have not specified how much of the repayment they'll do, but they're talking about early repayment. So that's why the street likes it. And also we have to see a possible refinancing because it appeared that they were paying close to around 15% of interest costs. So since there's a big volume spike on that stock, just thought we'll highlight it. Our ticker team has just put out that they're going to be considering early repayment redemption of some of those debentures, and that's why the street likes it. Remember, 25% of the ARC got absorbed in the market, and now this piece of news has further excited the stock. Just thought I'll spot that, Surbhi.
No, absolutely. By the way, Jayaswal Neco is the number two is the number two spot in terms of volumes on the NSE. So it's not going up on small volumes. It's a small name, both price-wise and market cap-wise, but 9% on what are basically the second largest volumes. So it's a big one. 9 million shares, by the way, on that one. Let's talk about the pharma twins, Alchem and Marksans, one going up and the other going the other way. Ekta, tell us.
Well, yes, I'll start with the good news. Alchem, a good set of numbers which have come in. So the revenue is up around 11% on a year-on-year basis, better than estimates of around 4%. We had the margins come in at around 21% as compared to estimates of around 18% and a profit of around 664 crores. So India, which is bulk of their sales, is up around 12% for the quarter. So it did well. It's around 68% of their sales. The international business totally was up around 9%. Within that, US was up around 8.8%, which is around 21% of the total sales. And non-US sales was up around 9.1%. In fact, the company has indicated that they will be accelerating in terms of the non-US business going forward. So overall, good performance which is coming for Alchem, and the US business, in fact, leading the way in terms of the international sales, and the focus will also be on the non-US business. Now, in terms of Marksans, interesting set of numbers because it's the operational numbers which really weighed down. So the revenue is up around 5%, but if you look at the margins, they've come in at 16% versus 22% and a profit of around 58 odd crores. The US and North America was up around 30% year on year, but UK and Europe was down 19%. Australia and New Zealand was down around 13% this quarter, and that seems to be weighing down on the numbers.
Thank you very much for that. Stock is down today, but in the last 5 years, it's given a return of 1,500%. I think the CAGR has been astounding in the stock price, but just recently it seems to be underperforming a tad bit. That's Marksans Pharma. Dharmesh, Alchem Lab, Marksans Pharma.
I mean, Alchem's numbers are quite good. I mean, 50% of the pharma companies came out with a very strong set of numbers, the likes being like Eris Life Sciences, Mankind Pharma, Divi's Laboratories. All those numbers were pretty good. A couple of them were definitely misses. On the large cap side, like Sun Pharma was a miss. But having said that, most of the pharma companies which are into CDMO, API kind of a business and less of a US-centric businesses, they have done pretty well this time around. Almost 20-25% kind of a growth has been there with stable set of margins. But the few companies, the view has been that most of the stocking has taken place in the US and European market because of the tariff-related issue, and that's why their numbers looked better in Q1. So Q2 and Q3 would be more of our testing out there because how long you will do the stocking kind of a business. Having said that, I think couple of pharma companies do look good to us, and one is Eris Life Sciences. It looks much better. And from the large cap place, Cipla, which came out with a decent and a modest set of numbers, looks pretty attractive on the valuation multiple metrics. So Divi's and Mankind we have been liking, but the only concern has been the valuation has been far too ahead of the peer group multiples.
Okay, all right, Dharmesh, thank you very much for that. Good speaking with you, as always, here on CNBC-TV18. DCM Shriram numbers at the bottom of the screen, 9% versus 11% on a year-on-year basis. Profits, 17 versus 31. Both are year-on-year. There's a big dip which has come there. We'll take a quick commercial break here. Amit Gupta from Motilal Oswal Private Wealth will be joining us on the other side to take some questions. Stay with us.
Welcome back. Markets are slipping now down nearly 100 points on the Nifty, 350 lower on the sensex. The 24,500 mark has been breached. In the last 30 minutes, the selling pressure has accelerated. The recent low of 24,000, I think 333.34, that would be an important level for the markets to hold. For now, 24,500 is gone. Mid-caps, though, haven't seen aggravated selling pressure, still down close to about 0.1%. Let's drill it down to individual stocks. Hormus joins in. He puts the spotlight on the top movers in this market.
Well, earnings, reactions, and you would hear this word of earnings for the final few times in the next couple of days now, for the quarter at least. Start off with Tarson's Products, and this stock is now down almost 5% after its results. It has recovered from the lows of the day. At one point was down 12-13%, and it has now declined in 5 out of the last 6 trading sessions. You take a look at the volume volumes here, you've had 7 lakh shares traded compared to a 20-day average of 30,000, and the stock is now well below its IPO price, which was well over around about 600 odd rupees. Now, Marksans Pharma is the other major casualty after the results today. Now, 12% lower on that stock. This is the biggest single-day fall since March of 2020, and we've already had almost close to 65 lakh shares traded compared to a 20-day average of around 20 odd lakh, and the stock is down almost 40% on a year-to-date basis, and this has made it the worst year that it has had since 2019 for Marksans Pharma. Banco Products is the other one, is that too is down around about 10% after its results, down in 3 out of the last 4 trading sessions, and it has declined 10% in the last 4 trading sessions as well. There was a bit of a gap in between where the stock had gone up 6-7%, but otherwise it's been on a downtrend. But between 2019 and till date, the stock is up almost 10x. So from levels of around 53, 54, the stock is now at around 540. And Sonata Software is the other one. It's gained today after declining in 5 out of the last 6 sessions. It's a big volume mover today. Take a look at the volumes here. 3 crore shares already traded here compared to a 20-day average of just 7 lakh. 11% higher on the stock. And this too is down 40% year to date. And this might just end up becoming the worst year that the stock has had since 2011. And Star Cement being the last one, another volume-led mover. And a 20% up move in the month of August already. We've had more than 1 crore shares change hands in today's session compared to a 20-day average of just around about 9 lakh, and with this up move that the stock has seen in August, it has turned positive on a year-to-date basis. Back to you guys.
All right, lots of interesting names there on the radar. Hormuz, thanks very much for that. Amit Gupta is head of equities at PMS Motilal Oswal Private Wealth. Amit, good to have you with us here back on the program. Thanks for joining us. So, you know, I was. This is just a theory and maybe just food for thought I wanted you to address. Apart from, so the market here in India, admittedly, over the last 6 months has underperformed the regional markets or global markets. So maybe that is correcting a previous era of outperformance. Earnings deceleration, valuations, all those factors are there. But do you think there is a new factor at the margin as well, which is the fact that what is, for the lack of a better term, in vogue right now is AI in a very large way, which is getting rewarded disproportionately around the world, right? You look at pretty much any large market, and that's the pack which is doing very well. Actually, as someone said, in the US, for example, it's 7 stocks in 3 sectors which make up the market. AI, defense, and banking. And AI, of course, is by far the larger theme there. In India, we have a lack of those kind of options, right? Large core AI themes. How much of that is a factor of the margin, Amit, as you think about what the market does from here?
No, I think you are right. So there are, some emerging themes. So artificial intelligence definitely across the businesses it is going to impact. So the bigger IT players, they are already seeing they have to move into more R&D. They have to come out with different AI modules for different customers. And what we have observed, the smaller organizations, where possibly the order book is not very, very substantially higher, they are moving into AI module actually very fast. And if suppose in any company you have 70-80% of AI already conversion happening, they will do much better in the market actually going forward. So there are companies, in the mobile advertising. Now, when we are seeing that 90 crore people in India are using internet, everyone is holding a smartphone actually nowadays, or at least a phone in hand. So in that case, there are various companies which are moving into targeted marketing now through the artificial intelligence. They are taking user data, they are putting up algorithms, and then the deep insight about the customer. In fact, there are companies which are going for conversion models. That means till the client is not getting acquired, they are not charging anything. So that is, to that extent, AI is used now even in the mobile advertising. And I think this is a big trend going forward. And these are asset-light models. So in your portfolio, when you look back,
it's using AI to make your business more efficient, targeted, etc. My question was different. If you wanted to get exposure to AI as a theme, what do you buy in India?
So mobile advertising is one theme, where artificial intelligence is used like anything. There is a company, FL India, in that particular space. They are using this particular model of cost per user conversion. That means it is not that only with a single click. You are asking for the revenues. You are asking
advertising as a business. My point is core AI, right? I mean, the building AI. So you don't have those options, right? And at least global capital is hungry for those kind of ideas. And if it's very evident, the performance of some of these players. I'm not just talking about the Magnificent Seven in the US, other in Europe, in Japan, in Taiwan, etc., which is absent here. And maybe that is also a reason why the market has underperformed a little bit.
So it will take time, John. I think it will take time, and that is where you have to put more R&D in India, which we have not done actually historically. So, but as what I am saying, there are few businesses which may be small in size, they are emerging and they are taking some AI modules, whether they have done R&D of themselves or they are buying from outside. But we like those companies who are really doing R&D of themselves. And in small modules also, like as I discussed about mobile advertising, it's a big game going forward. And yes, from the big IT companies, we have to see how the structure pan out. But the mid-cap IT, some of them, they have already converted to 55-60% of their overall order book into the AI modules.
So Apple is one stock. Some of the mid-cap IT companies which are at the forefront of AI, would you like to name them? And is there any other play?
So in the small, if you look at in the mid-cap IT, there is a company, Jayaswal Technology, FL India, I already discussed. It has actually moved to almost 100% AI model of themselves. So slowly you will find the new game, the new players coming in. And all these fintechs, all these gaming companies, healthcare companies who have a large database with them, they are going to be the clients actually going forward. They will use their own modules, and they will use the AI modules for target marketing also. So for example, Zomato of the world, they have a large base, 800 cities they are already in. Blinkit is now expanding forward. So you will see that they will also hire someone so that they can analyze the data. So how you will analyze the data? Ultimately, it is the artificial intelligence. So nowadays, previously you had only data centers. Now you have AI-driven data centers, right? Now you are going to have AI agents. So the game is changing, and obviously India will not remain isolated from it. India is also developing, and with the DeepSeek, which has come at a very low cost, I think it's a big opportunity for India. That when you are going to do R&D, possibly your cost may not be incurred higher, if that is one of the example. And I think this is where it's a good canvas for us, good opportunity amid all this volatility. And going forward, you will find some of the digital players doing really good, which are the asset-light models.
So AI, maybe not in its purest form, what US companies are doing, but in different aspects. And perhaps we'll see greater adoption and greater opportunities in the market as well. Take that point, Amit. Now let me pivot back to the big manufacturing opportunities. And I want to get your attention back to defense because of what we've just seen from Hindustan Aeronautics. It's so reassuring to see that finally one of the largest defense players, and at least decent numbers coming through, slightly above our poll as well. And even if I look at margins have actually expanded very smartly year on year. Now their margins are touching almost 26%. Let's get the stock up if we can. Hindustan Aeronautics. We'll get our colleague to give us more details on those numbers as well. But this is my question, Amit. I mean, on defense, what should one be doing? The stocks obviously rallied a lot. Then Q1 was not good, and then the whole war specter also was fading away. So they've gone through a phase of profit taking as well. Would you be buying anything in defense on dips?
So yes, I think the direct answer is yes, because we feel this is a very strong theme. The only thing is it moves very fast. So after the Indo-Pak war, immediately we saw a very significant move in across the segment in the defense space. And then profit booking is also coming. So what we feel going forward, that the companies where order book increase is very fast, there you will see a better move going forward. See, execution happens later, but actually the stocks are moving with a percentage increase in the order book. So in Hindustan Aeronautics, previously we saw the stock became substantial mover because that time the order book was growing. Now there are portions of executions which may be sorted out, but eventually the stock has seen the major move with the order book surge, and it moved to almost 1,84,000 crores. There are companies like Bharat Dynamics, where the order book is hardly 22,000 crores. And there possibly, if the supply chain constraints are not there, eventually you will see a very higher order. In fact, with Armenia, when the order was done, it was almost $1.3 billion, where the major order came in Akash missile also. So we feel that this is a good segment, a growth segment, where volatility will be part of the game. whenever such kind of geopolitical scenario will come where you will find the government is, trying to sort out the things outside, then the stocks also will see some profit booking, which we have seen now.
And so which are the ones that, as of now in your portfolio, Amit, which are the ones that you have and the ones where you think that there is it's a good story to back?
So we have a couple of stories from the PSU space. One is definitely Bharat Dynamics, which is part of our model portfolio. Then we have from the shipping, because the shipping, we feel, if you look at all the three companies right now, they have a combined, order book, and which is around 75,000 crores. And we feel it is going to be triple in the coming 3-4 years. And that is where the government focus is also there. And that's why I think in the shipping, we found opportunity. We found at a much lower level. And amid this profit booking, I think it is again throwing an opportunity now. So we have from these areas, and then from the private defense, because out of 1.4 lakh crores of total production in defense, now 32,000 crore is also coming from the private players. So you will find opportunities in those private players who have a long pedigree of operation, and they are giving ROE in excess of 30%. If you can get that with the increase in the order book, that is going to be a win-win situation actually for your portfolio.
Okay, thank you very much, Amit. Great discussion. Need to get into a break. On the other side, we'll get you a few BTST calls. We'll invite Mitesh back on the show.
Welcome back. It continues to be a fairly range-bound day of trade as far as the market is concerned. Let's look at what's happening within the F&O space, if there are any interesting cues there. Nigel's joining in from the F&O desk now. Nigel.
Well, that's right. Actually, we're seeing a lot of volatility, particularly in the last 60 minutes, which gives you a sense that maybe this has to do something with regard to the weekly expiry, because the sensex actually, the contractor there is playing out the weekly expiry as of today. But this kind of a fall, nonetheless, is a little bit unnerving because the Nifty has fallen. And the problem today actually has been the Nifty bank, because all through the trading session, that's been underperforming. The only solace, I think, is that at least by the time we wind up, the Nifty bank would not have breached the 100 DMA, which is the crucial mark on the downside. So just keep that on your radar. The India VIX, even after the fall of around 100 points, is still very, very subdued, more or less flattish as we speak. So the India VIX still not indicating much panic, in terms of a big fall from here. Moving to the PCR, we started the day at around 1.04. But you're seeing the call writers, they're coming back into play. So the PCR has come down to around 0.87 as the last time I checked. Because the kind of call writing we have seen, 24,700, which we went in the first hour of trade, 24,700 call has seen a massive open interest build up and the premium has halved. As is the case with the 24,600 call as well, the premium out there as well has come down from 95 rupees to sub 50 rupees. But just keep this in mind, the Nifty is down close to 100 points right now. But the put buyers would not be making any money on a strike at around 24,550. Just take a look at the premium. It's moved up very, very marginally. So that's telling you there is some writing that we're seeing actually at that level as well. A mix of activity. So on the closing basis, this 24,450 level should not get violated. Going by that writing that we're seeing at around the 24,550 minus 100 points, that's what the put writers will be getting. Now, in terms of levels, you're looking at broad range. The recent low, 24,350, which we visited all of the last 3 sessions, and the higher end of the range. Today, we went to 24,700, 24,750. That's the crucial marker that you're looking at. Stocks that I'm looking at, PNB Housing Finance. The stock, remember, went into the F&O ban when it fell big time. Today, there is some unwinding of positions, and it's possible if we continue to see this sort of unwinding either today or tomorrow, it will move out of the F&O ban. So just keep that in mind. Last I checked, it was at around 83%. If it unwinds more, then in fact it moves out of the F&O ban. It needs to come down to sub 80% of MWPL. And finally, possible entrant today will be Titagar. The numbers have looked pretty okay. The stock is up and volumes are massive, big open interest build up. So that's one of the stocks that should mostly get into the F&O ban today. Back to you.
Oh, okay. All right. So we're going to keep an eye out on both of those. Nigel, thanks for that. By the way, I just want to pull up Bajaj Finance on the screen, because while the overall market has been volatile and we've got this 100-point drop, this is a slightly, unusually large fall for Bajaj Finance. It's 3% lower. Banks anyway have been weak right from the morning. I mean, for instance, HDFC Bank is the weakest bank right now. It's down 1.3%. ICICI is down 1%. But this is the biggest loser now on the Nifty, Bajaj Finance. Mitesh is joining in, so let's bring him in on this. Mitesh, just a specific comment on maybe Bajaj Finance and the overall bank weakness, and then final trades as well.
Yeah. So Bajaj Finance, yes, I think there is very clearly, ever since we had that big gap down, which was on the 25th of July, the stock has been in downward trend, and the last few days, it did a range of about 870 to about 895. Now it's breaking below that range. So I think, it's a 25-point kind of range. So you can expect 845, 840 to be tested. We're not very far away from there. And then, if it sustains below that, then I would look at even 800 being the well checked. So that's just, I think, the stock is clearly going through a corrective kind of movement. And on the stock side, Nigel was highlighting the banking index, and HDFC Bank is, looking like STBT. So keep a stop around 1980 here for a target of around 1950. And JSL, that's on the buying side. For BTST here, with a stop at about 708 and a target of 725.
Got that. Thank you very much for that, Mitesh. Let's revisit Praj Industries. That's been one of the accidents of the day, 7.5% lower today. The stock is halved in 2025. Amakshi is here to recap the numbers Q1 and the outlook going ahead.
Well, absolutely, Rima. Q1 wasn't as great for Praj Industries as has been the case over the last couple of quarters. The revenue has dipped by around 8%. The EBITDA margins have contracted by 825 basis points and the EBITDA has fallen sharply by 66%. The net profit, though, is seeing a very sharp fall, 94% lower on a year-on-year basis. And this is because in the base quarter, there was an exceptional gain of around 28 crores, which could be attributed to profit on sale of land. Now, even if we account for that and even if we remove that from the base quarter, it's still a very sharp fall in the net profit for Praj Industries. Now, what's actually impacting the numbers this time around? It's the bioenergy segment, which accounts for almost 60% of the company's revenue. That was down almost 24%. But on the other hand, the other two segments, which is energy engineering as well as high purity, they did quite well. Now, this time around, performance was largely impacted by their domestic ethanol business, which witnessed delay in execution cycles, as well as there was a liquidity crunch from the customers. And apart from that, the Genex business is still incurring expenses. However, there is no corresponding revenues yet, and the management is hopeful that in second half of FY26 is when the revenues from this particular segment will start coming in. Apart from that, there was also delayed execution of a couple of high-value engineering orders at Kandla, which led to higher infrastructure as well as labor expenses, thus denting the margins for the company. The ordering activity too, the order inflow stood at 795 crores, much lower as compared on a year-on-year basis, down almost 11%. So, an absolute weak set of numbers coming in from Praj this time around.
Thank you very much for that. And she was earlier telling us the PE of the company Praj Industries after the recent correction now stands at 35 times versus a peak of 55 times. So valuations too have corrected and margins 4.9%. Historically, the company used to enjoy double-digit margins, but in the last couple of quarters, we've seen it weaken. Thank you, Pamakshi. Jay Bala from Cash the Chaos is now joining in on the show. Jay, we started off the week well, but there is no follow-through. In fact, if anything, we're now down 100 points. Give us the trend and the setup right now.
Yeah, hi, Rima. Good to be on the show. See, the Nifty's decline from the July high of 25,000 and change may have possibly come to an end at 24,337 already. But if there was there to be another low, that low is unlikely to exceed 24,021. So we are very close to a bottom, or a bottom is already in. So watch out for Nifty to start moving up. If 24,955 had to get taken out, the decks are all clear for a much powerful move that will surprise a lot of people on the upside.
We're close to the bottom. The recent low should hold. But on the way up, you said it can surprise. What are the levels that we're looking at?
Yeah, I've been bullish on the markets since the second week of April, and I'm anticipating Nifty to hit 29,000 over the next 6 to 12 months. But we are very close to the market to complete this correction. There's about the all-time high is just about 7%, and if you look at the global picture, the U.S. markets, there's the main three indices: Dow Jones, Nasdaq, and S&P. They have about 5% upside left. So possibly we are looking at outperformance for the Nifty from here on. But it's very close to market confirmation. Wait for the confirmation. It'll probably be a day or two before this confirmation comes through.
Got it. And for the Nifty, you're essentially saying that if the bottom is in, we move up to 25,550, 25,660, right, on the Nifty?
That's right. I'm anticipating a move back to fresh all-time highs. It'll be in stages. For the DEX to be clear, I want to see markets first take out 24,702 to today's high. Once that crosses, it completes an important price structure in the hourly time frame. Once that's crossed, the market will aim for taking out the July high. Once that's crossed, the market will aim for taking out the all-time highs. All-time high is not too far off; it's just 7%. And probably whatever the holdback for the markets, that's probably going to get cleared the next couple of sessions. Probably news will trigger it, but the price structure is
all this requires a little bit of help from the two presidents on Friday, Jay? Or
yeah, possibly. Possibly. See that. I mean, if you look at the macros too, there is a big breakdown in crude. Crude is broken below 64 support, and it's you can see a big down move over the next few sessions, possibly testing 59. and 59 to 55, and then a bounce back, and then we are looking at 48 by the end of the year. So, probably that is signaling possible, peace talks coming to fruition. So let's see, market does what it does anyway.
Let's talk about individual sectors then. First up, banks. The price action has been a bit weak. Do you see it reversing?
It should reverse. I think it's a bit disappointing the way the banking stocks are moving. Nifty PSU banks is doing reasonably well. Needs some support from the Nifty private sector bank, but I think the support would come somewhere close to 53,480 for the Nifty banking index, the broad banking index. We need SBI to do the heavy lifting. It crossed the important level of 837 a few weeks ago. That we need a close about that. Once that happens, that will lift the sentiment for the whole sector. Coming to the other sector, I think autos are going to lead the markets from the front. Watching for 24,200 to get taken out. I think it's a matter of time. Already there are signs from good performance from our last week's pick of Hero Motors, and Tata Motors did reasonably well yesterday. And other names within the space are also showing some signs. So watch out for it. This leg of the next move is possibly going to be led by auto names.
Okay, all right. Jay, just hold on to that thought. I just want to pull up one stock, Piccadilly Agro. The stock fell with very, very large volumes. The numbers just came on the exchanges just in the last 20 minutes or so. And it had a very, very sharp reaction. And now it's seen a bit of a recovery. Just keep an eye on that stock. Piccadilly Agro, I think in the last year or so, that the stock as it is was under some pressure. The last 5-year period actually has done very, very well. Sharp downtick is what we're seeing on Piccadilly Agro. We'll try to pull out those numbers as well. Jay, what about a couple of individual ideas? I think MCX as well as Max, they're on your radar. Tell us more.
That's right, Nigel. MCX looks more stronger than Max. MCX recent high that it registered in a few weeks ago, I think it was about July. That high went up with strong momentum, and the pullback from that has been a corrective structure, overlapping move, which is a classic corrective nature. And I'm anticipating a move somewhere close to about fresh 52-week highs, fresh record highest about 9,900. When it comes to Max Financial, again, similar setup, but it's slightly short term. A stop loss of about 1451, the price subject to about 1800. Fresh 52-week highs here to anticipation, but MCX could have further legs beyond what I'm projecting. But Max Financial is probably a short-term pick.
Okay, Jay, stay on. We have more questions for you coming up in just a bit. Market is still looking at a cut of about 100 points in the Nifty and less than that, 0.25% for the mid-cap index. We'll take a break and come back with some more stock ideas.
Welcome back. Well, it appears the Nifty will end in that vicinity of around 24,500. So it's a weak close, but it could have an element of expiry in it. The problem has been the Nifty Bank. I'll be interested to see the institutional numbers going by the kind of fall we have seen on the banks and financials. That said, we had a couple of earnings that have come in the last 60 minutes. So let's revise one. HAL. Ria joins in to help us out with a quick analysis. Ria?
Well, yes, very good set coming in for HAL in this quarter. And remember, Q1 is typically the weakest quarter for HAL in terms of execution, and margins are also usually the lowest in this quarter. But this time around, we've seen a revenue growth of around 11% for the company, which is slightly below estimates of 13% growth. But the EBITDA was up around 29% on a year-on-year basis. Margins have also expanded by around 279 basis points, coming in at 26.5%, well above the estimates that we were working with. Net profit has declined by 4% versus estimates of a 15% decline. Provisions have also declined substantially this time around by around 38%, and material cost has come down to 30% versus 35% in Q1 of last year. So that has largely aided the profitability this time around. Now, seeing as Q1 has seen such strong performance, it looks like the company is on track to achieve the guidance that they had set at the end of FY25. They had guided for revenue growth to be at around 8 to 10% in FY26, but they are going to revise this guidance after 6 months, and they may see double-digit growth in the revenue in this year itself versus what they were expecting since FY27, going forward from FY27. The adjusted EBITDA margins are expected to be maintained at around 31% over the next 3 to 4 years, and the FY26 order book target is at rupees 2.5 to 2.6 trillion. Now, some key things that we will be watching out for going forward in the earnings call: the timeline of order execution for the 12 LUH and the 97 LCA Mark 1A aircrafts, as well as the status of the Sukhoi 30 avionics upgrade project. And of course, we will be watching out for the order book and the order inflows for this quarter.
Okay, all right. Thanks a lot for that, Ria. Well, let's go back to Jay Bala, who's joining us on the show. Jay, a couple of other assets that we haven't discussed. What about the dollar index? Where is that one headed from here? You know, it's corrected more than 10% from the peak, but now it's not breaking that 97 mark. Where does it go?
It's dollar index has got a very short-term record. It's possibly heading to 103. It's dropped back to the previous range. That's telling us this is possibly a corrective move. It's probably a choppy move back to 103. As long as the index stays above 96, this is the opinion that I hold. There's a corrective bounce headed to about 103 to 104. We'll keep it, as conservative to 103.
Jay, since you have an overall positive view on the market, just give us an overview of large cap IT. I mean, large cap IT, if not rising, it needs to stop falling, right? For the index to eventually move higher. Did you see anything specific on the charts here you want to call out?
Yeah, see, the biggest drag on the IT index has been TCS, and TCS is very close to an important bottom. It needs just one more sequence of intraday move below the low that it registered last week. Once it does this, I think we can anticipate a reasonable counter-trend bounce to come through. It need not be even a reversal. And even the Nifty IT index 34,200 is a very important support. And barring TCS, most of the other names can put on a little bit of weight. Even a counter-trend move in the Nifty IT index can change the overall sentiment. If there were to be a reversal, it would be a very powerful move. I don't anticipate a reversal to come through for the Nifty IT index. I've been calling it a counter-trend bounce since April, but I want to be wrong. If I'm wrong, the move can develop even more powerfully. So I will keep the movement for the Nifty IT index as a counter-trend bounce to come through. But let's see how it unravels from here on.
TCS last week or earlier this week said that they will be giving hikes to 80% of their workforce effective 1st of September, and the range would be between 2 to 8%. So after the layoffs and delaying the hikes from 1st April, 1st September is the new date, but only 80% of the employees will be getting that. Jay, you said autos will be leading. That will be the leadership sector. Any particular stocks or trades?
Yeah, autos, we spoke about Hero Motors last week, and it's doing reasonably well, went up 5% and it's up 2% even today. At least the last check, it was 2% up. Bajaj Autos is forming a very large base. Also have a look at TVS Sri Chakra tires. TVS Motors has gone to record highs. Usually this follows where TVS Motors goes when the larger trend picks up. This is forming an interesting base here. Once the stock takes out 3100, 3200, this can lead to a very powerful rally. Watch out as a dark horse, TVS Street.
Got that. So that is those are specific trades, etc., which are coming through from Jay. Jay, stay with us. We're going to just quickly wrap up the market action here and then come back to you for more questions in just a bit from now. Do we have just I think we have 3 minutes to close. Do we have the inflation expectation numbers? If you can just quickly put the basics out, right? Both here in India and the US. India number should be out by, I think, what, 5:30?
4 o'clock, I think.
4, right after.
I think I read 4 o'clock.
We'll have those numbers come out, and of course later, that's the number. July 2025 expectation is 1.3%. That's the CNBC-TV18 poll compared to 2.1, the previous month and the year before, which is 3.6. So sharp deceleration is the India inflation picture. And of course, with regards to the US number, there is some sort of fear at the margin that maybe all these tariffs, average US tariff rates are now 15% or so, and there is some expectation that maybe that number will be closer to 3 or maybe tops 3. But the poll shows 2.8% on a year-on-year basis and 0.2% on a month-on-month basis. So those are the two big data points later today, which will be in focus as we come back tomorrow. Otherwise, I think we are ending pretty much at the day's lowest point. I think this is the day's low. And disappointing because it started on a pretty decent note. 24,465 is the low today. And we're at about 24,484 coming through. Market breadth, actually an NSE advanced decline also slipped. So by close, 1,550 stocks are down and about 1,400 stocks are higher. And this was, in favor of advances till at least 3 o'clock or so. So things did deteriorate quite a bit as far as broader markets go by the end of the session. Rima.
Well, banks were the biggest drags. HDFC Bank lower. In fact, the banking index down nearly 500 points. Bajaj Finance, Trend, HUL, Eternal, Nestle, a lot of the consumption names weakened trade. On the way up, IT, Auto dominated the gainers list. Tech Mahindra top gainer, 2% higher. Maruti, Hero, M&M gaining 1.5% to 2%. A couple of pharma names, Cipla, Sun Pharma higher. And then metals too, little upbeat after the extension of the negotiations between US and China by 3 months. Tata Steel too gained about 1%.
Yeah, that was the large cap story. A disappointing day. Mid caps, even the mid cap index did end lower, 0.3% on the lower side. If I talk about the major losers, then you have, of course, the result casualties. Astral is topping that list. Praj Industries is close behind, 7% down there. Astral 8% lower. But even beyond, you had some of the railway names like RVNL down 5.5%. Kajaria Ceramics 5% lower. Sirma lost about 6% as well. So plenty of weakness out here. But then, as always, you had the outliers. Good numbers from Alcom boosting that stock, for instance, 6% up. And the entire travel and hospitality space has done well today. Whether it is Elite, Travenews Tech, the company that runs Ixigo, whether it is, Yatra itself, once again, lots of green for Yatra, over 30-35% rally in just 2-3 trading sessions, or Easy Trip Planners as well. Look at that, Yatra, another 20% circuit today. Phenomenal move coming through. So travel and hospitality are themes that seem to be working well. Well, with that, it's a wrap on this edition of Closing Bell. But don't go anywhere because Markets Forward will take the action ahead.